Okay. A very important power of Congress is its participation as one of the checks and balances when the president uh, proclaims or declares martial law, or when he suspends the privilege of the writ of habeas, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. So, what is the participation or the power of Congress at such time when there is such a declaration? So, in case of invasion or rebellion, when public safety requires it, according to the Constitution, the president may, for a period of 60 days, place the Philippines or any part thereof under martial law, or suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. While we'll be discussing more or in detail this power of the president, let's focus at this point on the powers of Congress in its participation when this is being declared. No? So what happens, no, during such a declaration or proclamation or suspension? Congress, if it is not in session, must or is expected to convene within 24 hours without need of call. So ito yung isang instance na the Congress can convene without need of call. And thereafter, concurrently, within 24 hours from such a proclamation, the president is supposed to submit in person or in writing his report to Congress, no, of his declaration or proclamation. So what happens is that this is the congressional role. Congress um, voting jointly by a vote of the majority vote of all of its members in a regular or special session may revoke such proclamation or suspension. So this is the power of revocation. No? They may revoke or such a proclamation or suspension by a majority vote in a joint session. So this is among the sessions where um, Congress convenes together. They vote jointly. An example of the drowning of the votes of senators in a sea of votes of the members of the House of Representatives. Um, Remember again this case of Padilla versus Congress, where the petitioner wanted to compel Congress to convene jointly, no, in order for them to vote on the revocation of the president's declaration or proclamation. According to the Supreme Court, there is no longer any need for such a uh, joint session, because in this case, the House of Representatives and the House of Senate already made their declarations supporting, not objecting to the declaration of the president, because this was the case where it refers to the declaration of the president of martial law in Mindanao, no, because of the Maute incident. According to the Supreme Court, um, when the Congress convenes, it is only for the purpose of revocation. But this is already perhaps already mooted, because both the houses of Congress already um, uh, resolved to support martial law. The Constitution provides that Congress voting jointly by a vote of at least a majority of all the members in a regular or special session. This is for the purpose of revocation, no? Of but there is nothing to revoke, because again they made their independent resolutions by each house. So it's permissive in a way, no? So the Congress also has the power to extend the proclamation or suspension, but this supposedly should be initiated by the president. Still the same, joint voting and also majority votes of all the members. Joint voting, joint session, majority votes required to extend. Well, while we'll be discussing this when we reach the judiciary, suffice it to note that the court also has its participation as part of the checks and balance or balances upon when there's a declaration of martial law. So the court may review upon the initiative, no, or the appropriate case filed by any citizen, the factual basis for the declaration of martial law or suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. Now, there therefore is two things or two ways of checking on the president here. First is the court, when it evaluates the factual basis for the declaration of martial law or suspension of the privilege, Congress also may revoke in a joint session. Kindly go to the case of Lagman versus Medialdea for the distinctions of the two. Okay, the extent, the manner, and the passivity and the activity of both the court and the Congress in times of the declaration. Kasi crucial here, tingnan mo, ang court kasi passive siya. Nangangailangan pa siya na a citizen files a case, no? While Congress, automatically, they have to convene, supposedly, in theory, no? So, discounting this case of Padilla, no? This Padilla versus Congress, no? As intervening jurisprudence in your evaluation of the case of Lagman versus Medialdea. So, another power of Congress is the power to concur with presidential amnesties. While it is the president who has the power to give executive clemencies, the executive clemency power of the president to grant amnesty can only be made effective if it is concurred by the majority of the members of Congress. We remember here that this power of Congress is not a grant of the power of clemency. The power of clemency is only with the president, but only Congress concurs. So what is amnesty? Specifically, amnesty refers to, it's for high crimes, no, high political offenses, no, or treason. Unlike other presidential clemencies, for example, pardon. It is pardon is for ordinary crimes, but for amnesty, these are political crimes, no. In pardon, you are still considered a convict, but in amnesty, it is as if you have not committed any crime at all. Kasi pardon acts prospectively, while amnesty is retroactive, as if you have not committed an offense at all. That's why kailangan ng check and balance yung yung tinatawag na consent of Congress in amnesties. So another power of Congress is to confirm certain appointments. One is the confirmation of the choice of the president when he nominates the vice president. If the president dies or has become incapacitated, no, from among the members of Congress themselves. And the confirmation of the members of Congress of the choice of the president needs no confirmation of the Commission on Appointments. Speaking of the Commission on Appointments being part of Congress, this is also the part of Congress in participating on the power of appointment by the president. The Congress also concurs with treaties. Section 21, this is the requirement that any treaty or international agreement shall only be valid if concurred by 2/3 of the members of Senate. So that is again, treaty-making power is the power of the president in pagpasok sa treaties. Congress only concurs because treaties can never be effective kung walang concurrence. On the other hand, while the president has the sole power to enter into treaties, can even refuse to submit the treaty for the concurrence of Congress, but the consequence is hindi siya magte-take effect. But the president can change his mind and then not submit it for a concurrence so as not to give effect to the treaty. Section 25 also of Article 18, note this, that for treaties entered into by the state, no, involving the presence of the military in the Philippines, if Congress requires, it may be ratified by the vote of the people. No? So Congress can also submit this to the people for voting for the presence of military in the Philippines. No? So declaration of existence of a state of war and the delegation of emergency powers. Section 23, paragraph 1 says that Congress, by a vote of 2/3 of both houses in a joint session, shall have the sole power to declare the existence of the state of war. Meaning, if you look at the provision, Congress does not declare war. Congress only declares an existence of a state of war. But that's my perspective, no? Because if you declare war and you declare the existence of a state of war, the existence lang, the declaration of the existence of that state of war, is merely passive involvement, while the state of war could be active. So in our constitution, who has the power to declare war? So abroad, in other jurisdictions, it is the president, no? But the declaration of the existence of the state of war is with the Congress. No? This other paragraph, in times of war or other emergency, Congress may by law authorize the president for a limited period to exercise legislative power. So during wartime or during the declaration of emergency, Congress has the power to delegate congressional powers, meaning the president can legislate kung may gera or national emergency. Congress is also the judge of the president's fitness. This is how we read section 11 for this, because there are 3 ways in which the president may be declared unable to discharge his functions under Article 7, Section 11. Una, when the president declares himself that he is unfit or unable to discharge. Second, when the cabinet, majority of them, makes a written declaration that the president is unable to discharge his functions, or when Congress itself determines the insistence of the members of the cabinet of their manifestation that the president is unable to perform his functions. This is how it goes. For the first norm, or for the first instance, the president himself can declare himself to be incapable of performing his functions. It takes effect immediately, and the vice president takes over to discharge the powers of the president. Another instance, second instance, is yung kanyang kabinete. Yung kanyang cabinet makes a written declaration and submits it to Congress, no? That they are claiming that the president is unable to perform their functions. Galing sa cabinet mismo, hindi galing sa president. So at this point, the vice president takes over. But thing is, the president may dispute this and says that no inability exists. So when the president disputes this, the vice president steps down. So he steps down, and the president shall commence functioning as president. But if the members of cabinet really insist, eto talaga may disability ang president, so they make a second written manifestation and submit it to Congress, and saying that really the president is unable to discharge his functions, his duties. That is the time when Congress shall vote. No? So what happens is, within 10 days from the second written declaration made by the cabinet, they shall convene. No? And then in a joint session, it shall decide the president's ability or inability by a 2/3 vote, no? Separate voting of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Impeachment. Impeachment is a process, a proceeding against a public officer before a quasi-political court instituted by a written accusation known as the Articles of Impeachment. No? So how is impeachment and how is impeachment carried out and who are impeachable officers? We shall continue with this on the next video.